Right now, you're making decisions. At least it feels that way. You chose to watch this video. Maybe you decided to eat chocolate today, or go to the gym tomorrow, or maybe not. But here's something disturbing. You might not be in control of those decisions. Because right now, as you watch, 39 trillion microscopic creatures in your gut are having a furious democratic meeting, voting on what you should do next. They're producing chemicals, secreting neurotransmitters, and sending electrical signals directly to your brain through a neural superhighway called the vagus nerve. And you think you're deciding. But in reality, you might just be the giant vehicle these trillions of creatures use to get what they want. To understand how we completely lost control of our own bodies and minds, we need to dive into the hidden world of the silent war happening inside you right now. Your gut isn't just a food processing tube. It's a living ecosystem, a microscopic megacity as complex as the Amazon rainforest. 39 trillion bacteria, viruses, fungi, and archaea, collectively called the microbiome, live in a delicate ecological dance inside you. That's more microbial cells than human cells in your body. Mathematically, you are more them than you. But the story gets much stranger. In the last 10 years, we've discovered something scientists call the gut-brain axis, a massive bidirectional connection where your gut literally talks to your brain all the time. The vagus nerve is like an 8-lane information highway connecting your gut to your brain, and 90% of the traffic goes one direction, from gut to brain, not the other way. Your gut is sending far more information to your brain than your brain sends back. That's already weird. But here's where things get truly disturbing. Your gut bacteria aren't just digesting food. They're manufacturing psychoactive drugs. 90% of your body's serotonin, the neurotransmitter that regulates mood, happiness, and well-being, is produced in your gut. Not your brain. Your gut. By bacteria. But it doesn't stop there. Your microbiome produces dopamine, the pleasure and motivation chemical. It produces GABA, the calming neurotransmitter that reduces anxiety. It produces norepinephrine, which controls alertness and focus. It even produces precursors to endogenous opioids. These molecules don't stay in the gut. They travel through the bloodstream. Some cross the blood-brain barrier. Others send signals through the vagus nerve directly to brain regions controlling emotion, memory, and decision-making. Think about it. When you feel anxious for no apparent reason, it might be your gut bacteria reducing GABA production. When you have an uncontrollable craving for sugar, it might be sugar-feeding bacterial species producing chemicals that manipulate your brain's reward centers. Your bacteria aren't innocent passengers. They have an agenda. And that agenda is survival and reproduction, even if it means hacking your decisions. But you might be thinking, okay, bacteria produce chemicals, but does this really change my behavior? The answer comes from one of modern neuroscience's most disturbing experiments. In 2013, scientists took mice with completely opposite personalities. One group was adventurous, boldly exploring new environments. The other group was anxious, avoiding risks and hiding in corners. Then they performed fecal transplants. They transferred the gut microbiome from one group to the other, and something impossible happened. The adventurous mice became anxious. The anxious mice became adventurous. Their personalities literally flipped. It wasn't training. It wasn't genetics. It was just bacteria. Since then, studies in humans have begun replicating these results. Fecal transplants from people with depression transfer depressive symptoms. Transplants from healthy people improve mood. A 2024 study showed fecal transplants can transfer measurable personality traits, including levels of extroversion and novelty-seeking. You're not just carrying these bacteria. You're being piloted by them. Each bacterial species has different needs. Akkermansia mucinifila loves fiber. Firmicutes adore fats. Bacteroids prefer plant proteins. and when their populations increase or decrease, they change what you crave to eat. Food cravings might not be yours. They might be theirs. So if you're being manipulated by trillions of microscopic creatures, the devastating philosophical question emerges. Do you have free will? Think about every decision you made today. Waking up, breakfast, opening this video. Each of these choices involved neurotransmitters, serotonin, dopamine, GABA, most of which were produced or influenced by your microbiome. You didn't choose your microbiome. You inherited it from your mother's birth canal, from breast milk, from the environment where you grew up. Bacterial species colonized you before you had self-awareness. And since then, they've been secretly influencing your emotions, your fears, your preferences, possibly even your beliefs and relationships. Studies show people with autism have significantly different microbiomes than neurotypical people. People with chronic depression have less bacterial diversity. People with anxiety have specific imbalances in GABA-producing species. We don't yet know if the microbiome causes these conditions or is a consequence of them. But the correlation is undeniable and disturbing, and it gets worse, or better, depending on how you look at it. Because if your microbiome controls part of your decisions, it means you're not an individual. You're an ecosystem, a walking democracy of 39 trillion microscopic citizens constantly voting on what to do. When you feel lonely, you're not alone. You're never alone. You are a crowd. But here's the final twist. This isn't parasitism. It's symbiosis. Your bacteria aren't trying to hurt you. They're trying to survive, and they can't survive if you die. So most of them are working to keep you alive, healthy, and functional. Your microbiome trains your immune system from birth. It produces vitamins you can't manufacture alone, like vitamin K and B12. It digests fiber into short-chain fatty acids that feed intestinal cells and reduce inflammation. It even protects against lethal pathogens by competing for space and resources. You're not being hijacked. You're in a 500 million year evolutionary partnership, and this opens fascinating possibilities. If microbiome imbalances contribute to depression, anxiety, autism, and other neurological conditions, then maybe we can treat these conditions not just with drugs that alter brain chemistry, but with interventions that reshape the intestinal ecosystem. Next-generation probiotics, customized fecal transplants, personalized diets based on microbial composition, therapies that cultivate specific bacterial species to modulate mood. Preliminary studies already show promising results. Specific strains of lactobacillus and bifidobacterium, called psychobiotics, reduce anxiety and depression symptoms in clinical trials. Fecal transplants are being tested for autism, Parkinson's, and even schizophrenia. We're at the beginning of a medical revolution, not just treating the brain, but treating the ecosystem that influences it. But there's a dark side. If the microbiome can be manipulated to improve mental health, it can also be manipulated to worsen it. Imagine biological weapons designed to alter microbiomes and induce mass depression, or corporations selling products that addict, not because they affect your brain directly, but because they cultivate bacteria that make you crave more. We're learning to hack the microscopic democracy inside us. And like all powerful technology, this comes with risks. So, back to the original question. Do you have free will? The honest answer is, we don't know. Maybe free will is a useful illusion created by a consortium of trillions of organisms working together. Maybe it's something emergent, a property that arises when complex ecosystems interact. Or maybe the question is wrong. Maybe you were never an isolated individual. Maybe you've always been an ecosystem, a community, a microscopic civilization inhabiting a human vehicle. And maybe that's something beautiful. You're not alone in your head. You are a living cooperative of trillions of beings working together to navigate a hostile universe. Every decision you make is voted on democratically by a microscopic assembly of creatures who depend on you as much as you depend on them. You're not a king ruling a body. You are the body, all of it. The bacteria, the neurons, the cells, the chemicals flowing between them. All of this is you. And when you understand this, when you truly absorb that you were never alone, that you've always been a crowd, that every feeling and thought emerges from a chemical conversation between trillions of beings, maybe the existential loneliness that haunts human consciousness begins to disappear. You're not an isolated individual facing the void of the universe. You are an entire universe.